Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be getting into 5 undervalued players that you need to target in all of your 2023 fantasy football drafts. But before we can get into these undervalued players, I would like to ask that if you guys are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, that you please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure that you do leave a like on today's video. It would help me out a ton. If you want to follow me on Twitter, please do so at NotoriousFantasy. So without further ado, let's get to my top 5 undervalued players that you need to target in your 2023 fantasy football drafts. We begin with undervalued player number 1, Josh Jacobs, running back of the Las Vegas Raiders. Current underdog ADP running back 10 at pick 28.3. In most underdog drafts, he goes at the beginning of the 3rd round, but I think in most redraft leagues, he will end up being a 2nd round pick, typically towards the middle of the 2nd round. Last year, he was the RB3 in half PPR and the running back 4 in half PPR points per game. He played in all 17 games last season for the Raiders, totaling 340 carries, 20 per game, ranking 2nd at running back, 1,653 rushing yards, 97.2 per game, number 1 at running back, so he averaged almost 100 rushing yards per game, 65 targets, 3.8 per game, number 11, 53 receptions, 3.1 per game, number 10, 400 receiving yards, 23.5 per game, number 8, and 12 total touchdowns, number 6 at running back. Now, going into last season, I was someone that was incredibly nervous about drafting Josh Jacobs. I thought that because Josh McDaniel was going to become the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders, that meant they were going to go the Patriot way. They were going to go with a running back by committee, and that was far from what happened. Josh Jacobs was a workhorse back last season. When they gave him the carries, when they gave him the key to the city, the key to the offense, this man was dominating 50 Shades of Grey style game in and game out. And he even added the pass-catching upside to his game. Now, if you guys remember in the past when John Gruden was the head coach of the Raiders, John Gruden told us that Josh Jacobs was going to catch passes, and I got hyped about it, and it never fucking happened. But last year, they started to use Josh Jacobs as a pass catcher. Now, is he one of the best pass catching running backs in the NFL? No. But getting potentially 60-plus targets, he got 65 targets last year. If he can get 60-plus targets in 2023, I am going to be very happy about that. In terms of efficiency, Josh Jacobs was pretty solid last year. 1,233 yards created, 72.5 per game, number 1. 4.6 true yards per carry, 23rd. 5.2 yards per touch, 18th. And a 31.3% juke rate, 11th. The only worry that anyone should have about Josh Jacobs right now is the fact that he could end up holding out. He is looking for that long-term contract. He is not looking to play on the franchise tag. Now, we all know that this thing could go 2 different ways, or 3 different ways, actually. This thing could go holdout jet skiing in Miami like Le'Veon Bell. That's way number 1. Way number 2 is that the Raiders figure things out and they sign him and Josh Jacobs is happy. Or way number 3 would be that Josh Jacobs just ends up playing because he doesn't want to potentially ruin this season. If he doesn't play this season, then maybe his value will just fall off the edge of the earth, which is exactly what happened to Le'Veon Bell, who we just mentioned. So obviously that is a worry. But I am just going to go ahead and say right now, I believe things will be fixed with the Raiders. And if they're not, I don't see him holding out. I think come week 1, Josh Jacobs is going to be ready to go. Maybe he misses some time in camp, right? Maybe you don't see Josh Jacobs on the field once the team gets together at the end of this month. Sure. And then people will start to panic, but I think everything is going to be just fine, and you're going to be able to get a running back as the running back 10 who could easily be the number 1 running back in fantasy football this season. Now, I understand Jimmy Garoppolo isn't the best quarterback on earth, but you insert Jimmy Garoppolo into this offense, and it's likely going to be the same as last year, or maybe even slightly better. And if that is the case, then Josh Jacobs has immense upside, just as he did last season. season, if maybe he scores a couple more touchdowns or if he catches a couple more balls, the upside really is running back 1 for Josh Jacobs in this Las Vegas Raiders system. He is one of the best running backs in the NFL, and I think it is almost laughable at this point that he is coming off the board as the running back 10, moving to player number 2, who I think is incredibly undervalued. We got my guy, Wiki DJ Moore, wide receiver of the Chicago Bears, current underdog ADP, wide receiver 26 at pick 47. Now, if you look at his stats last year, it's not mouth-watering. It doesn't make you salivate looking at the numbers. He was the wide receiver 22.5 PPR and 34.5 PPR points per game. He played in all 17 games last season, having 118 targets, 6.9 per game. Very nice. I like. Number 21 at wide receiver, 63 receptions, 3.7 per game. Number 37, 888 receiving yards, 52.2 per game. Number 26, and 7 touchdowns. Number 14 at wide receiver. Now, if we know anything about DJ Moore, it is that this guy has been bent over a table his whole entire career by the quarterback play on his team. He got the Cam Newton. That wasn't the Cam Newton MVP version, not Super Cam. He got the diluted version of Cam Newton. He has played with XFL legend Walker. He has played with quarterbacks like Sam Darnold and Baker fucking Mayfield, okay? DJ Moore has been slapped around by the quarterback play, and yet he still shows promise. He still has those games where he flashes and it looks beautiful. Now, the problem is he has not been able to consistently put up big games because the quarterback was holding him down. The quarterback was limiting his upside. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Nick, Justin Fields is not that great of a quarterback. Sure, he's great because he can rush. That's great for fantasy, but he doesn't have a great arm. Now, if you watched yesterday's video where I talked about a must-draft player in every single round, I talked about how Justin Fields' arm is a lot better than people give him credit for. Now, I'm not saying he's the most accurate quarterback in the NFL or he has the deepest ball accuracy, anything like that. But DJ Moore has dealt with legitimate garbage can quarterbacks. Last year, 6.3 target accuracy for him. 97th at wide receiver. 97th best accuracy thrown to DJ Moore. So it doesn't take some fucking stud, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Pat Mahomes, to go back there, drop back, and throw the ball to DJ Moore. And even with the fact that the target accuracy was so low, this man had a 35.6% dominator rating, which is a receiver's percentage of total team receiving yards and team receiving touchdowns, 5th at wide receiver. The Chicago Bears have a clear need for an alpha wide receiver, and that is why they traded for DJ Moore. They have Chase Claypool, they have my guy Darnell, here comes the Mooney, but ultimately, DJ Moore is a true number 1 wide receiver in the NFL. If you watch some of the tape at Carolina, it is legitimately amazing, and I think Justin Fields is going to be able to take DJ Moore to that next level to potentially finish as a top 12 wide receiver, and he's coming off the board as wide receiver 26, moving now to undervalued player number 3 that you need to be drafting, Tyler Lockett. In my pocket, skirt, wide receiver of the Seattle Seahawks, current underdog ADP wide receiver 34 at pick 64.3. But before we break down Tyler Lockett in depth, I would like to give you guys a quick word for our friends and our sponsor over at Underdog Fantasy. Now, Underdog Fantasy is the best place to play best ball fantasy football this summer. If you don't know what best ball is, it's the best part about fantasy football. It's the draft, and that's it. There's no waiver wire, there's no setting your lineup, and there is no trades. At the end of every single week, Underdog will automatically set your lineup for you with the highest scores. So if you're someone who accidentally starts the wrong guy, or maybe you don't wake up in time and then your team has a big fat goose egg in it, that will not happen on Underdog Fantasy. They're the best place to play fantasy football best ball this summer. They have the biggest fantasy football contest ever, $25 to enter, 150 max entries, $3 million to first place, $15 million in total prizes. If you don't want to join a tournament like Best Ball Mania 4, the one I just mentioned, then you can just do regular drafts on there. Your typical 12-team draft for as low of a buy-in as $3. So make sure you guys check that out. Link in the video description, or promo code Notorious for a first match deposit bonus of up to $100. If you deposit $100, you get an additional $150, an additional $50, $25, and additional $25. So make sure you guys check that out. Link in the video description. Back to Tyler Lockett in my pocket skirt. Again, underdog ADP wide receiver 34 at pick 64.3. Last year it was the wide receiver 13 in half PPR and the wide receiver 15 in half PPR points per game, tied with Amari Cooper as well as Devontae Smith. He played in 16 games last season, totaling 117 targets, 7.3 per game, number 22, 84 receptions, 5.3 per game, number 14, 1,033 receiving yards, 64.6 per game, number 19, and 9 total touchdowns, fourth at wide receiver. Now, Tyler Lockett is not going to be, in my opinion, the most consistent wide receiver week in and week out this season. They have Metcalf, they have Lockett, and they just drafted the best wide receiver, in my opinion, in the 2023 NFL Draft in the Ohio State's Jackson Smith-Njigba. So there is competition around Tyler Lockett. I'm not going to act like Metcalf and JSN are not there. But Geno Smith proved to absolutely eviscerate, torch any opposition I had to him last season. I talked about this in yesterday's video as well. I legitimately thought my boy Horsecock Drew Lock was better than Lockett, or not better than Lockett, was better than Geno Smith, and that was not the case. Tyler Lockett has weekly game-breaking upside. What is game-breaking upside, you might ask? It's just like in NFL Street when you activate the game breaker. You're automatically scoring that touchdown. Tyler Lockett has the upside to automatically put your team on his back by dropping 25 plus points because of his incredible speed, his incredible separation, and his usage in the offense. Despite the fact that Metcalf was on his team last year, he was still the 18th most dominant wide receiver in the NFL. He ranked 5th in target separation, 5th in route win rate, and 5th in win rate versus man. Again, JSN's going to get used. There's going to be some games where Lockett ends up disappointing and taking a metaphorical deuce on your chest. But I think the upside that Lockett possesses, that 25 plus point game that he has in his bag, is enough for me to feel like he's undervalued at wide receiver 34. Again, he's picked 64.3 on Underdog Fantasy, but on Underdog, everyone loves wide receivers, so they're boosted up a little bit. And a lot of redraft leagues, you might be able to even get Tyler Lockett at pick 70, maybe even 75. So Tyler Lockett is going to be a huge target of mine. And you could also talk yourself into the fact that maybe early on in the season, since JSN's a rookie, it might take a while for things to catch on, and then maybe Lockett for the first 8 weeks is just must start. Maybe he fades a little bit towards the end of the season, but at pick 64.3 is wide receiver 34. Again, he's not your wide receiver 1 of your fantasy team. I am very happy about that. Moving to player number 4, we got Danny Dimes of the New York Football Giants. Underdog ADP quarterback 14 at pick 112.7. Last year, he was the quarterback 9, and he was the quarterback 10 in points per game. He had 16 games played in 2022, 472 pass attempts, 29.5 per game, number 14, 3,205 passing yards, 200.3 per game, number 15, 15 total passing touchdowns, 3.2% rate, number 21. Now, important to note, passing touchdown rate. If a quarterback is good and they get around a 5% passing touchdown rate, that's pretty normal. If Daniel Jones, again, I don't think he's necessarily the best passer in the NFL, but 3.2% passing touchdown rate, you have to assume with how Brian Daboll has really shifted and molded this offense that Daniel Jones should finish much higher than 3.2% rate. Even if it's 4.5, his passing touchdowns definitely should increase. Again, 21st at quarterback. 5 interceptions, 32nd. Great for Daniel Jones. And the kicker here, why you really want Daniel Jones, is 120 carries, 4th, 708 rushing yards, 5th, and 7 rushing touchdowns, 3rd. Now, is Daniel Jones going to go out there and run with the speed and the effectiveness of Jalen Hurts or Lamar Jackson, Justin Fields? Probably not. But what he's going to do is run out there, try to send some motherfucker to Middle Earth by running them over, and he is going to run the ball a bunch. So even if he's not the most effective runner, we've all seen him run and then fall up against the Eagles a couple years ago. But at the end of the day, he wants to run the ball, and Brian Daboll, it appears, wants him to do that because it seemed like, on some of those plays at least, Daniel Jones knew in the back of his head, hey, I could probably run on this play because it just didn't seem like it was instinct sometimes. He felt like he had the ball, and he was like, you know what, let me just go, right? And it wasn't like, oh, there's nothing there. It was kind of just boom, zoom, and he ran away with the ball. Brian Daboll, again, has completely changed this offense and has really molded Daniel Jones into something great. 94 true passer rating, 8th. He was 7th in QBR, 5th in accuracy rating, 1st in true completion percentage, and 9th in drop passes. So the wide receivers weren't helping him too much. His wide receiver core isn't the best in the NFL, but it's definitely better in my opinion than last year. He's got Isaiah Hodgins, Wan'Dale Robinson, Darius Slayton, Sterling Shepard, Darren Waller, who might be the best wide receiver on their team and he's a tight end, or Saquon Barkley, who might argue is the best wide receiver and he's a running back. In terms of career highs in 2022, Daniel Jones had the most passing attempts, passing yards, yards per attempt, his best completion percentage, his best rushing yards, and his most rushing touchdowns. Again, I'm not trying to beat a dead horse here, but Brian Daboll clearly did something right with Daniel Jones. And with that crazy rushing upside, I'm not saying he's going to be a top 5 quarterback, but he's definitely going to have top 5 weeks when he could potentially run for 80 yards and a tug in any given game. Moving now to the final undervalued player, we have Kendre Miller, running back of the New Orleans Saints, current underdog ADP running back 45 at pick 137.9. In a lot of redraft mocks I've done, he goes either undrafted or he's like a last round pick. The Saints obviously have Alvin Kamara and Jamal with 2A's Williams. But at this point, we just have to feel as though it is true. Sound like a fucking Star Wars character. Sound like Yoda. Alvin Kamara's getting suspended. We already know that. It's a foregone conclusion. I've talked about this a bunch. If he doesn't get suspended, I would be perplexed. I would feel crazy because we know he fucking did it. Okay? We know he did what was alleged. And if that happens, Kendre Miller has the upside to be the starting running back week numero uno, week 1 for the Saints. And if Kamara is suspended, it might be 6 to 8 games. And you might be able to draft this man as running back 45. And for the first 6 to 8 games, he could be the starter on the team, which, you know, any running back that's a starter on the team should be drafted much higher than running back 45. And interesting enough, when he was kind of being in the draft process, people were talking about Kendre Miller as having that DeAndre Swift, having that Alvin Kamara level play, meaning this guy is a great pass catcher. Now, if you look at his tape at college, he didn't get a lot of opportunities to catch the ball, but when he did great things with them. He's very shifty, and he has excellent cutting skills. He was a 3rd-round pick in the 2023 NFL Draft. Now, obviously, not first-round draft capital, but there's not a lot of running backs going super early in the NFL Draft anymore, besides Bijan Robinson, and I guess Jahmyr Gibbs, but Jahmyr Gibbs kind of felt like a reach even when it happened. Played for 3 years at TCU, 14 games played in 2022 at 20 years old, 224 carries for 1,399 rushing yards, 16 receptions for 116 yards, 5.1% target share, 17 total touchdowns, 5'11", 215 pounds. He created 816 yards after contact in 2022, ranking 6th in Power 5 conferences, and forced a missed tackle on 70 of his rushes, which ranks 7th in the Power 5. Again, Kendre Miller is just oozing of upside. He has all the upside with none of the risk. You don't have to draft Kendre Miller in the 8th round. You can draft him a lot of the times with your last fucking pick. When other people are taking kickers and defenses, you can take Kendre Miller, who might be the number 1 running back on the Saints. Now, I get it. Nick, when they get on the goal line, when they're knocking on the door, Jamal Williams is going to get in the game. Okay, I get it. But when they're marching up the field, Kendre Miller might be in the game. Again, I don't love the Saints, but the Saints' schedule is cupcake. It's soft as baby shit. Look it up. The Saints aren't even that good. They might win 11 games. They might win 12 games. So, Kendre Miller, liked him out of college at TCU, loved the situation. Alvin Kamara's getting suspended. And bada bing, bada boom, this guy's fucking ADP is gonna... He's gonna be pick 100 in a couple of weeks once that Kamara suspension happens again. let's be honest, it's going to happen, right? I hope so. So thank you guys all so much for watching. If you did end up enjoying today's video, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below as well as hitting that like button. It would help me out a ton. If you want to follow me on Twitter, please do so at NotoriousFantasy. I hope you all have a great rest of your guys' day. And as always, good boy.